In the previous chapter, we had the prelude to this encounter. Baki and Mitsunari were discussing the upcoming fight between Jack and Pickle. They still couldn't agree on who might win. Baki mentioned that Pickle used to be superior in terms of bite strength. However, now it's hard to imagine how a clash between the two strongest bites on Earth might turn out. Later, Baki went to visit Pickle to ask him if he was sure about wanting to do this, referring to having another fight with Jack. At that moment, something shocking happened. Pickle spoke his first words, repeating what Baki had said. The words were clear, and Baki was in total shock upon hearing the caveman speak for the first time. That's how the previous chapter ended. This week's chapter begins right where the previous one ended, with Baki and Pickle meeting again in that combat arena where they once fought. The prehistoric man had left Baki in shock as he spoke a few words for the first time. For a few seconds, Pickle and Baki stare into each other's eyes, maintaining a tense silence. They stand still after hearing the words of the prehistoric being. However, Pickle breaks the awkward silence by repeating those words again, affirming his desire to fight. These words, though poorly pronounced, leave Baki completely astonished, as he cannot believe what he just heard. Suddenly, and with great excitement, Baki asks Pickle what he just did. He wants to know if it was just his imagination, or if this prehistoric being really spoke. So, he asks Pickle to do it again. Baki wants to hear him speak again, and Pickle, very happy, tries to repeat the action. Although his fluency is not the best, he manages to say that he will indeed do it, referring to his fight with Jack. This surprising exchange makes it clear that Pickle also desires this fight just as much as Jack does. His excitement for the fight is now more noticeable than ever, as he even managed to express it with his own voice. Baki realizes that it was not just his imagination. The creature that everyone believed to be very primitive had taken a big step in demonstrating his adaptation to this new era, the ability to communicate. Baki wanted to know if he was really willing to fight for fun, and if this time it would not be just for his survival instinct. Amid his amazement, Baki asks Pickle if he really wanted to measure his strength against Jack in a fight in this very arena, if he wished to face him again. Pickle immediately changes his expression and, with a big smile, says Jack's name. This makes it clear that Pickle was consciously accepting to fight against Jack Hanma. Words that reassure Baki, as he now knows that Pickle will fight for pleasure, and not because someone is forcing him. The next day, we see the outside of the Great Tokyo Dome, and several meters underground, we see that the underground arena was all set for the big fight. The underground arena was packed, completely full. Many people had gathered to see this dream fight. The great challenge between the greatest beasts of this arena was about to begin. In the arena, everyone could see Pickle, who had been sitting there waiting for his opponent long before the audience arrived. This prehistoric being remained motionless, anxious for his great confrontation. It was clear that he had spent the night in this place waiting for the day of the fight. Meanwhile, we moved to the Colosseum's corridors, which seemed deserted. However, in one of the halls, there was a large amount of pills, injectables, and other medical items scattered on the floor. Jack Hanma was already ready for the big fight, his long-awaited rematch. However, he looked very calm and serene as he made his way to the arena, carrying only a large towel over his shoulders. The giant was prepared and just steps away from entering the combat arena, where the cheers of the excited crowd for his entrance could already be heard. His current attire was very similar to what he wore in the Maximum Tournament, and that towel on his shoulders gave him an imposing appearance. As he enters the place, the crowd erupts with euphoria at the sight of the giant beast of the arena arriving. There was the old man Mitsunari, sitting in his comfortable chair with an unperturbed expression. Jack Hanma just turns to look at his enthusiastic audience and listens to them chanting his name over and over again. The presence of the cyborg and his imposing size immediately eclipsed the prehistoric being sitting in the corner of the arena. It was as if this time he was the prey and his opponent was the hunter. The beast of the underground arena was truly imposing with his 243 centimeters height and 211 kilograms weight. Next to him, Pickle, over 2 meters tall and more than 130 kilograms, no longer seemed so big. Jack was not only gigantic but also exuded an aura similar to that of his father, Yujiro Hanayama. An interesting point here is that it confirms that Jack is actually 2 meters and 43 centimeters tall, and not 2 meters and 70 centimeters, as many of us believed a few weeks ago. Interestingly, this would indicate that Pickle is actually shorter than that, when previously it was believed he was approximately 2 meters and 45 centimeters tall. But anyway, continuing with the story, the fight announcer introduces Jack as the gigantic yet agile Jack Hanma. The audience was amazed by his imposing presence and eager to see the fight begin. Pickle was considered the last gift of prehistory, a being that hunted dinosaurs for food during the Cretaceous period. Before the commentator could finish introducing Pickle, he immediately launches at Jack with a swift and powerful move. The attack took everyone by surprise. Jack hadn't even been able to take the towel off his shoulders. Pickle had started his offensive before the fight had officially begun. He was clearly not going to follow the classic protocol of this arena. However, before he could land his attack, the towel Jack had in his hands moves quickly through the air. And with it, Jack manages to block Pickle's attack, causing the beast to bite the towel instead of his flesh. Jack reacts immediately, forcefully pulling the towel with one of his large hands. Pickle, being attached to the towel, is abruptly yanked, giving Jack the opportunity to apply a throw, lifting and tossing the gigantic prehistoric being with just one of his arms. This impressive display of strength and agility by Jack makes it clear that this fight will be explosive. The crowd, witnessing this quick and powerful move, shows their astonishment on their faces. However, while in midair, Pickle manages to move quickly, a fact not unnoticed by Baki, who watches the fight with great amazement. The throw culminates in a thunderous crash in the arena, an explosion that echoes throughout the Colosseum. To the surprise of the commentator and everyone present, Pickle had managed to land on his feet, demonstrating once again his incredible agility. Even so, the surprise is evident on the face of the prehistoric being. The audience is impressed. Although the fight had not officially begun, they were already witnessing an extraordinary spectacle. Jack Hanma had used a simple towel as a shield, and then as a weapon, thanks to his great speed, technique, and strength. Pickle remains motionless, staring at his opponent in surprise, while the commentator clarifies that the fight has not been officially announced yet, so the referee declares that both contenders have a foul. However, these words seem to matter not at all to these two beasts. Jack proceeds to drop the towel, as it was destroyed by the movement in Pickle's teeth. Additionally, it can be noticed that Jack has not yet fully recovered from the injury to his trapezius, caused by Pickle's recent bite during their confrontation in the streets. The chapter ends with these two beasts facing each other, ready to officially start the fight. And well, the epic clash of giants has finally begun. Pickle made the first move, but Jack managed to react faster. Before continuing, I was surprised to see Pickle confirm with a smile that he indeed wants to fight. And at this time, no one is forcing him. This marks an important point because it shows how he has adapted to the modern era, acquiring the ability to communicate, even if only in a basic way. This detail humanizes Pickle and underscores his genuine desire to face Jack Hanma. He even remembers his name. So this fight will be for pride, and not for survival. It is the first time that Pickle fights by his own will and not because someone else is forcing him to do so. The start of the fight was explosive. I love how Jack used the towel to block Pickle's attack and then used it to throw him. This shows that Jack not only relies on his brute strength but also on his technical skill. Seeing Pickle land on his feet after Jack's throw demonstrates his agility and resilience, which sets an interesting dynamic for the fight. Although Jack and Pickle differ in size and strength, they are very evenly matched in skill and determination. I think that during the fight we will see Jack push his body to the limit, using all the improvements and techniques he has developed. But I also suppose that we will see Pickle quickly adapt to Jack's tactics, which will make the fight even more intense and balanced. In summary, Chapter 27 of Baki Rahen is a perfect mix of excitement, anticipation, and character development. I like how they have set everything up for the epic showdown between Jack Hanma and Pickle, and I am eager to see how it will unfold. Obviously, Pickle will not follow the referee's orders for him. It's simply a fight between him and Jack. No one else is welcome in the fighting arena. And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.